What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. Link will be in the description box below as usual. Go get it. PayPal link there also. They asked me to put it up, so I put it up. Thanks everybody for supporting. This video is entitled War on Generational Wealth. The War on Generational Wealth. Well, here's the thing. I saw something recently, people talking about generational wealth, and I started thinking to myself, well, it's not really, people don't realize since there's a war on family, there's a war on generational wealth. You see, generational wealth can't be generational if there's no family. And a lot of the wealthiest people in America come from, in the world actually, come from generational wealth and families that have been built over centuries. Inheritance passed down and passed down and passed down. Started small, now it's big for some, right? So what people don't realize, even when we're talking about generational wealth, we don't have a unit. So if the family is fractured, the wealth is fractured. So the individualism and the rugged individualism of America and capitalism preys on the fact that, you can have fractured wealth. The idea of opulence preys on the fact that you're just going to get a bunch of money and spend it on expensive name brands from families. So because if you're going to buy, all the luxury items, those come from families. If you're going to buy all the cars, they're like family owned companies. They're corporations, but there's a family behind these things. You get what I'm saying? And I'm not even, Mercedes-Benz, that's a name. It's a last name. Benz is a last name. Porsche is a last name. You get what I'm saying? I don't know if Lamborghini's a last name, but a Ferrari is a last name. But I think Bentley also. So BMW is not, okay? But because of this aspect, you caught in this whirlwind of shenanigans, and part of these shenanigans are it's an issue, because at the end of the day, you got one of these things where we're having families divorced, but then we have families that are single. And what I mean by single, they're not necessarily single family households, but single in the aspect that both of the parents are single, and sometimes they might get married to somebody else. So that family is not necessarily a family. It's like a family, a side family, right? And because of this, you got the intermixing of blended families. And when you have blended families, you don't necessarily have generational wealth, because where is the wealth going to go? See, when you have blended families, then you want to come together and quote unquote build. It's a lot of people aren't willing to incorporate all of the blended family, all of the kids. You got two people who brought kids into the equation. They want theirs to benefit, but not the other person's, really. So you got to be careful with that. So this is a war on generational wealth. Also, the I gotta live my best life is a war on generational wealth, because you got the idea that we're gonna make money so I can go live it up. So if you go live it up, what happens to the next generation? If I'm a millionaire and I decide to live it up, what did I just leave to the next generation? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. If you put money in a trust for your kid, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to leave money to your grandkids. You know what I'm saying? So this becomes a problem and a problematic issue. So at the end of the day, there's a war against generational wealth. And the same thing goes for divorce, alimony, child support. You know, there's no generational wealth in divorce. You splitting up assets. You know, people usually, most times they lose the home. So that's out of the way, because most of the time, one person doesn't necessarily keep the home to the point of there is no mortgage, and they can live, they get equity, and they can sell it or pass it down. That normally doesn't happen. So when the divorce, the home is split. So that's one major asset that's out. You know, if a woman can get a guy's retirement plus his assets, half or whatever, that doesn't necessarily mean normally she's not passing that wealth down, and he may or may not pass that wealth down. So there's no generational wealth with that. Might try to build with new families, which is a problem. Alimony, that's not going to be looked at as something to pass on to the next generation. That's more looked at as a payment because we were together, so pay me. If people can actually have enough money for alimony, which most people don't. But then child support. That takes resources from one parent and gives it to the other for the sake of the child. But the child doesn't get any of the resources normally. So there is no wealth in that. So now the kids don't benefit from divorce as far as in a wealth sense. The adults more so blow off steam with the resources. So there's no long-term benefit. And then what do you have? A next generation starting from scratch, or learning how to not get involved with the opposite sex as far as the obligation of marriage and family, because it doesn't work out. So because it doesn't work out, why get involved? And now all of this wealth is to myself. Me building wealth is to myself. There is no unit. Two heads are better than one. And the reason I think about that is because recently when I was talking about the income, or the $100,000 that he has to make $100,000 argument, a lot of America is built on household income. So that's two adults' income combined. That's not a household income is two adults. Normally a married couple. Normally that's what a household income is. Married couples combined income is this amount, and this is what they build with that. And then the other thing about that, the war on generational wealth, is people will say, when you're married, you get more benefits in the social society of society as far as upward mobility, because that means you have a commitment to somebody, you have a plan, you're trying to build something together, so people will think of investing in that. But with less and less marriage happening, there's nothing to invest in. There's no belief that you're going to actually see this plan through. There's no children that's going to benefit from these plans if you got a family. And I could use it in this sense. Generational wealth is being worked against, because even if you adopt, the fact that you're working, you have a commitment to the state and that child, you're working for their betterment. Even if you adopt, that's generational wealth. You trying to make sure that they succeed in life if you're doing it the right way. A lot of people are hustling the system and using, adoptive kids as check babies, but at the same time, you got to think about it. Like, a lot of people want to get together for companionship and blow the generational wealth because they've been looking for companionship. So it's a war on generational wealth across the board because of just good old selfishness and entitlement, And even, that goes for men and women. The guys could go out chasing skirts and blow the generational wealth looking for companionship, just like the women could, blow generational wealth looking for companionship because she wants to live a high life. You know what I'm saying? So this is my thoughts. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace.